Hello again everyone and welcome back to the channel. Alright, so you're probably wondering, everything wrong with jobs. Are you trying to get a job in 2025? Are you going to get a job in 2025? More than likely, probably, no. It's the problem that I've been facing lately. I lost my previous job. There'll be a different video on that in the weeks to come, because I decided I have to do these two separately, because this is pretty much all about just the frustrating job hunt versus how I lost my job. And when you watch that video about how I lost my job, as I've mentioned this story to many other people, even other store clerks who work for the same company I worked for, they were like, "The fuck? They fire you for that?" Well, like, yeah, they did. And you're going to be in just as much shock as everybody else has when I tell that story. Anyway, so why no one is hiring in 2025? I have applied at probably about 50 different places now, and I've gotten maybe like 10 interviews from out of those 50, and every single interview has ended in ultimate failure. And the thing is, like, when I go in for like an interview, I try to dress nice for one. I wear a nice shirt, wear nice pants, I have this long coat that I use for one. It's actually for one of my cosplays, but I get so many compliments on that coat. I get people asking me, hey, where'd you get that coat? Oh, I got it on Amazon. It's part of a cosplay. I don't tell people that in the interview, of course. And they're like, oh yeah, what cosplay? Anya from Anastasia, the green World War I military coat she was wearing. Yeah, but I've been wearing it, because it's been cold out. But I thought maybe that's why I wasn't getting the job, So I decided, okay, I'm going to skip the coat this time. And I had an interview at a store that a friend works at. And usually, when it comes to getting a job, it's best to try to, in my opinion, find a place where you have a friend working. Because your friend, especially if it's somebody who you're close to, can help you try to get your foot in the door. All right? So I went in for my interview. The guy seemed really excited and stuff, to meet me and stuff. And he's like, oh, yeah, your friends mentioned so many things about you. So you mean you sound like a great person and stuff like that. So let's go ahead with this interview. And the interview went really, really well. Out of all the other interviews I've had, I felt like that was probably the best one. And they're like, okay, so what's going to happen is, and even the way the guy was explaining everything to me made it sound like that, hey, I got the job, because he's like, so I'll send this off to HR, and you should be getting an acceptance email within the next 2 to 3 days. And I was like, cool, so I expected job, and wait 2 to 3 days, no email. So I give it a call and call up the store and stuff and talk to the guy, and he's like, well, if you didn't get the email, you didn't get the job. Sorry about that. Click. I'm like, thanks, my guy. That was that was something else there, and then my friend messages me back about a day later after I told her what was going on, and she's like, oh yeah, I talked to him about that, and he's like, just call back in 2 weeks, and we'll see if he's got something you can do. I'm like, so did they get the job? Yes, no, maybe, I don't know. So this is confusing. So here's all the places I've applied at so far: AMC, Choose Fitness, Jack's, GB Fish and Chips, Prost, Rosenberg's, Rocket Fizz, Total Beverage, Five Below, Sprouts, Hilltop Inn and Burns Pub, Cheesecake Factory, Helga's, Whole Foods, Hapa Sushi, In-N-Out Burger, I'll get to that one in a moment, Little Finch, the British Bulldog, the Church, which is a goth club, Milk Bar, which is another goth club, and I'll talk about that one in a moment too, Family, it's a theatrics company, Mellow Mushroom, Natural Grocers, Orange Julius, Dairy Queen, Safeway, Hot Topic, Hollister, oh yeah, I gotta talk about that one here in a second too. Dick's Sporting Goods, the Bowl and Bush Brewery, Queen City Coffee, Target, Starbucks. Yeah, 4 different Starbucks actually. Skate City, Dave & Buster's, Second and Charles, Morning Story, Kohl's, TJ Maxx, Red Robin, Chili's, Meow Wolf. Oh man, let me tell you about that one. I put in 14 applications at that place. I'll get to that one in a second. Walmart, Chipotle, Sam's number 3, Best Buy, and that's pretty much it so far. Okay, so on to the ones that I was going to talk about here a little bit more. Okay, so we're starting with Meow Wolf, I guess. So with Meow Wolf, I've put in about 14 applications over the past 2 years, since they opened in Denver. I have had 1 interview audition, and I was up against 3 others, so I had about a 25% chance of actually getting the job. the way this place operates, and when they go in for interviews, is they give you a generalized interview, ask you why you want to work here, ask where you live, if they think you live too far away. I guess they didn't want to hire me maybe because of the fact that I lived like maybe a 15-minute drive from Meow Wolf in a different city, which is a weird thing because there's parts of Denver that are actually further away from Meow Wolf than where I was living in a different city. So maybe they only hire people who live in Denver. Maybe that's it, even if they're further away from the place than I was at the time. I'm closer now, actually. But, you know, the other thing that they would do is so you go for your generalized interview, you know, generalized questions and stuff like that. You know, some of them are kind of weird, like, hey, if you saw somebody up on a lamppost down in, like, they have this, like, you know, pseudo kind of like city street inside of Meow Wolf. It's actually kind of cool looking, and they're like, if someone's up on this lamppost, you know, and they won't get down, what would you say to them? Like, so I would say, hey, you might not want to get up on that lamppost to get down here right now before you go into a quantum vortex or something like that. And they got the person to laugh, you know, doing the interview. They thought it was a good response. And then the other part of it was like the audition part. So the auditions, it's like they pick like one person to narrate a story, and then they have like the 3 other people kind of like act out the story, you know. So I decided to opt for being the one who was narrating the story, and what I was wearing. This is one of those jobs where you actually don't have to wear a suit for. It's preferred you don't. Dress crazy, cosplay, just have fun, you know, stuff like that. So I wore my my Noctis leather coat that I had from my Noctis cosplay from Final Fantasy 15, and I had on my Jurassic Park 2 movie watch, which looks all kind of futuristic looking and stuff. And those were from Burger King, like back in the day. Like I think I got it like when I was a little kid in like 1993. And what were they called again? They were called Big Kids Meals or BK Kids or something like that. You know, basically Burger King's version of a Happy Meal. You know, and the watch, you know, I don't know if it still works or not. The battery's dead and they can't seem to get the screws out. They take the back off. So I just wore it as a cosplay prop. And I guess maybe somebody thought it was a real watch because I like popped it open. It's got this little pop-up, you know, face thing on it and stuff, and kind of like was playing around with it. And they thought I was checking my time. And I was like, no, I wasn't checking my time. I'm playing with my fake cosplay watch. It was part of like the, you know, thing that we're doing with acting out a scene and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they liked my performance or not. Maybe that's it. The other thing that they had us do was like make things from aluminum foil and pipe cleaners. So, of course, I made something original because you think that originality would, like, you know, be more preferable because you can, like, think on the fly and stuff and come up with stuff that other people normally couldn't. So I just decided just to make something that was in a book that I was writing. It's called a fuzzbub. It's this little furry little ball of fur, you know. It's cute and cuddly. It's so cuddly you want to, you know, pick it up and kiss it and stroke its fur, but it's actually very, very vicious, you know, kind of like a mink, you know. I mean, yeah, it'll tear your face off, you know, kind of like that. And so I made that, you know, and nobody had any idea what I was what it was, you know. So I had to like, explain, you know. I mean, and people were still just mystified by it. You used some original brain power there and came up with something new. And then like this other guy made a dragon. He's like, oh, of course, because everybody's got to have a dragon, you know. I mean, it's kind of like in the original movie of Pete's Dragon, you know, a dragon, I thought I saw a dragon. Oh, kind of like that. I'm getting a little bit carried away here. Anyway, so yeah, the other places was, let's take a look at my notations here, since I have them right in front of me. Oh yeah, In-N-Out Burger. So with In-N-Out Burger, I've applied to like 3 different In-N-Out Burgers in the area. We don't really have very many of them because they're kind of new to my area, but, you know, I decided, why not apply anyway? It's good food. I enjoy eating it and stuff like that, and whenever I used to go out to Nevada or California with family, and still on occasion do, then like to stop and get some In-N-Out Burger. But now we have our own, so now I can get it whenever I want to. And the second interview I had actually went better than the first video because I learned a few things from the first interview about how In-N-Out Burger got started. And part of the inspiration for it was, the inspiration for the crossed palm trees, I should say, which came from a very old 1960s movie called It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. And it was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I mean, of course, it came out long before I was born. I saw it when on videotape, you know, because my mom saw it, you know, when she was younger, and she saw it in the theaters, you know. So when she had kids, you know, she decided to share all her movies that she watched when she was younger with her kids, and that was like one of my favorite ones. And so I knew about that in the second interview and mentioned it during the interview when the guy asked if I had any other further questions for him. And he was actually really surprised I knew that. So I was thinking like, ooh, score some brownie points there. You know, I mean, like, I know something that most people don't know. Still didn't get the job. All right, so with the milk bar, that was another one that was interesting as well, because I put in the application for that, like, it was more like an interest form, and I did it like the day I got the call for the interview, and it was moments, like, no, not really moments, but hours after the In-N-Out Burger interview, the second In-N-Out Burger interview, and I'm helping a friend like repaint her mom's room, and then this phone call comes in, so I answer the call, and this guy, at first I was a little bit confused because he didn't say Milk Bar. It was like, I guess, a like subsidiary company that like owns Milk Bar and like some of the other venues in the area. And the guy's like, hey, can you come in for an interview? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. When do you want to do the interview? And he's like, can you do it today? And I'm like, I'm kind of tied up today because you know, I can't plan for that. If he had done it, like, say, like a day in advance, I can plan for that. Because then I can, you know, get the proper clothes. So that way I look better, you know, going in for the interview for a golf club, you know, versus what I was wearing when I went in for interview at Burger Place, you know. And then also, too, you know, I was helping out my friend and her mom like do this repainting on the room and stuff, and it would take me time to get out of my paint clothes, you know, get into some other clothes, and then, you know, find out like where I'm supposed to go, you know, like drive downtown, you know, do the interview and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like a weird thing. And the guy's like, you know, well, we do interviews like every like 2 weeks anyway, so if you want, you can just give us a call back in 2 weeks and we can set up another interview. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool, that sounds good. And then I started thinking about it later on. I was like, it's kind of like a weird thing, you know. I mean, if they're doing interviews that much, and this is kind of like what Hollister does too. They do the same thing. You apply to Hollister, and then they're like, you can set up when you want to do your interview, and you can come in and do your interview. But it operates very similarly, you know. So I kind of wonder if they just do interviews as formalities. Maybe they make it look like, oh, hey, yeah, we're hiring. You know, let's do an interview like every 2 weeks to make so that way we look good, that we hire people. Either that or they just have a high turnover rate. You know, it's one or the other. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, like, the job market's been complete crap right now, and I just don't know if I'm ever going to get another job again, too. So, I mean, my peace of mind of advice, if you have a job, hold on to it, but do actively look for like another job. If you're getting tired of the one you're being at, just don't quit. Just stay there and keep putting in applications. That's really the only kind of advice I have right now that I can provide for anybody who's stuck in the same kind of situation that I'm in. Of course, though, the little bit different the situation is that I don't have a job right now. So, yeah, that is not a good thing. So, anyways, so this is going to be it for this video. I know this one like really dragged on this time, a lot longer than a lot of my previous videos. But I will have another video coming out in the next few days to couple of weeks talking about my experiences at my previous employer that I was with for 4 years. And was actually, no, I take that back, 5 years. It was 5 years I was with this company. And how I lost my job and stuff. And like I said, when you see this video and you learn about like what happened, you too are going to be typing down there in the comments, they fire you for that? I'm all like, yep, they did. Anyways, if you like what I draw here and you enjoy my stories and stuff, don't forget to leave me a like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment down below about your experiences in the workplace market and stuff like that. I'd love to hear about it. And yeah, oh yeah, by the way, still accepting fan art. So if you have fan art of any of my characters that I draw, love to see it. You can post your fan art on social media. Use the hashtag #ViLovesteinFanArt. I'm no longer using Twitter or X, by the way. So if you're on like Blue Sky, Kara, you know, anywhere else that like where you can post pictures and whatnot and stuff that I'm on, because I'm on a lot of stuff, then yeah, drop some fan art and I'll stick it in the video and at some point in the near future. Anyways, this has been Vi. As always, stay safe out there, and I'll see you later. Bye.